Ulechein al yidei sheishes yamim tochal matzos, and therefore through 6 days eating matzahs, nimshach mizeli yosub yom hashvi atzeres, is drawn from this to have on the 7th day you'll have a gathering, dahainu kriyas yam suf kanal, which is the splitting of the sea, like we said before, ukenod ashu b'chinas leidas haneshamos, and as is known that's a concept of giving birth to the neshamos, v'hu hamshachos neshamos gevohos me'od, and that's drawing down of very high neshamos, shenishtahu b'chinas ibor mishmini atzeres ad shvi shel Pesach, that they were in a pregnant state from Shmini Atzeres of Sukkot until the 7th of Pesach. Like it says in another place, the Mailas Eliyahu ba'omro chayashem asher amaditi lofanav, that the great level of Eliyahu, when he said the living Hashem that I stood in front of, shenishtahe nishmaso bebichinas ibur chulu, that his neshama waited, so to speak, stood, so to speak, in a state of pregnancy, that Eliyahu was in a pregnant state for 12 months. Like it's brought in Parsha Shmini concerning the concept of the fish of the sea, that they're more nullified to their source. You can explain this according to what is brought in another place concerning that the sons of Israel walked on the dry land inside the sea. Now in the Gemara there's an argument. That Beis Shammai says that the heavens were created first, and Beis Hillel says that the land was created first. And both of them are words of the living divinity. That in the concept of the heavens being created first, that when they were created, the heavens were created first. However, in the first thought, that's where the land came first. That was the intention in the beginning, to create the land, so that came first. And by the time of the splitting of the sea, was revealed this supernal thought, Shesham Eretz Kadma, that there the land came first. So they went then on the dry land inside the sea. That is in the heaven, in the earth that came before the heavens, and that's the end quote. Adgan. Now the earth is like a mustard seed in comparison to the heavens. And also the heavens encompass the earth. But nonetheless, in thought, the land came first. Because the end is tied into the beginning specifically. Therefore, that's why the earth has specifically the ability to grow grasses and trees, something from nothing, which is not the case with the hosts of heaven. They don't have that kind of ability. And yeah, how much more? So you can understand this in comparison to the sea. That even though in the order of the gradation of creation of the worlds, this concept of Malchus of Atzilus, when it's called the sea, Shuhiyos of Atzilus, when that is as Malchus is when it is in Atzilus, it's called Yam. Is higher than the concept of Malchus as it is when it is called the land. That is when it becomes the source for Biyah, for the worlds of Bria, Tzir, and Asiya, then you call Malchus the land. So even though when Malchus is called the sea, it's higher than that. Nonetheless, in the supernal thought, the land came first. Afilu l'shamayim, even to the heavens, shu zeranpin, even higher than zeranpin. Shu v'kol shechem l'bechinas yam, and how much more so to the concept of the sea, which is Malchus as it is in Atzilus. B'shagam ki shamayim hainu shamayim. And in addition to the fact that the heavens, the concept of shamayim means there is water. And look in the Pardes, when it talks about the sea, that the Malchus is called the sea when it receives afterwards. But as is brought in Zohar, the land, it's rooted in the concept of Keser. And that's why it's called the desired land, because it's a land where it expresses the concept of the Pnimius HaKeser, which is Chayfetz. Higher than Ratzon, like in Look in Torah, or where it explains, and therefore say that I'm going to take you to the land and so forth. This concept, which is called the land, which is the source for revealed worlds, when Malchus becomes the Keser for Bria, the Atik, then it's drawn from it to have creation of something from nothing. And complete nothingness, that's the concept of creation from Keser, that Malchus affects. That because Atik of the world of Bria, Shorshom Atik de Atzilus, it's rooted in its sources. Atik of the world of Atzilus, Shu Malchus the Ein Sof, which is Malchus of the infinite of Ein Sof. So you have this Ishtalshlus HaKresarim, that one Keser becomes the other. So the Atik of the world of Atzilus is also the Atik of the world of Bria. Like it's explained in the idea that Beis Shammai says, we say alone, the life of the world is king. I'm sorry, that not Beis Shammai. Is it like we say, Baruch Sh'amar Omrim Yachid Chei Olam Melech, that by Baruch Sh'amar we say, alone the life of the world is king. B'Ishtabach Omrim Melech Yachid Chei Olamim Chulu, and by Ishtabach we say the king who's alone, the life of the worlds. So, do we say alone life of the world's king, or do we say king alone life of the worlds? To Pirush Melech Yachid, what does it mean, king life of the world? By Ishtabach Hainu Melech Hu Malchus Atzilus, that the king, that refers to Malchus of Atzilus. B'nase Atik de Bria, when it becomes Atik of the world of Bria, Asher Bechinas Atik Nikra Yachid, that Atik is a concept of Hashem is Hashem is alone, meaning to say it's this highest level of Yachid. So Melech Yachid is Malchus as it becomes Yachid, V'hu Kedei Lios Chei Olamim, and that's in order to become the life of the worlds. Lios Bria Yitzir Asiya Yesh Ma'ayin, to have the creation of Bria Yitzir and Asiya, something from nothing. Nimtza the Bechinas Atik the Bria Nekra Gam Ken Yachid. So it's found then that the Atik of Bria is also called Yachid alone, and we have already said before the Bechina Aleph Yachid Zeu Atzmus Ein Sof, that the concept of Hashem is alone. This is the concept of the essence of the infinite light Mamar Shalamayla Bechinas Echad, which is higher than the level of Echad. Ki Echad Hainu Bechinas Zer Anpin Datzilos, because the concept of one, that's Zer Anpin of Atzilus. But Yachid is Atik. V'zeu Pirush Yachid Chei Olam Melech, and that's what it means. By Baruch Sh'amar we say, alone which Atik, Cheo Lami Melech, and the life of the worlds is Malchus Yachid, Hainu Atzmus or Ein Sof. That Yachid refers to the essence of the infinite light, Tzimtzum v'chalal chulu, through a contraction and an empty space, so to speak, in order to have creation. Nimshach liot Cheo Lamim. So you draw down the concept of life of the worlds, and Nimshach bebechinas Malchus, until you draw it down to the level of Malchus. So that's Yachid first, and then Cheo Lamim in order to have the life of the worlds, and Melech, Malchus. That's Yilos. So what does it mean then, the other way around, when we say Melech Yachid, that the Malchus itself is Yachid, by Ishtabach, when it becomes Atik of Bria, because that ability in the concept of Atik of the world of Bria, Livro Yesh Me'ayin, to create something from nothing, Nimshach Matzmus Ein Sof, it's actually coming from the essence of the infinite light Davka, Shulavadu, Yachid Miyuchid Kanal, that he alone is a Yachid alone and unique. It's Tchilas and Besofan, because the end is tied into the beginning, and therefore the Atik of Bria is tied into the Malchus of Ein Sof, that becomes the Atik for the world of Atzilos, or the Malchus of Ein Sof before the Tzimtzum, that becomes the Or that shines into creation for the Chei Olamim. So it's the Yachid Chei Olamim Melech. It's the same level as Melech Yachid as the Malchus, as it also becomes this level for the world of Bria. And look what it explains about the idea that the king, that the peace belongs to him, and explaining the Maila of Malchus. With this, you can also understand the concept of the source of the concept before, that humility is greater than them all. That we brought the 10 levels of character traits, and humility is greater than them all. Like the saying that my soul should be like dust in front of everything. That this is the concept of the land, that source is higher than everything else. It was the first in thought. So and now we can understand simply the concept of that 6 days you should eat matzos, which is, like we said, the concept of matzos with a vav, without a vav, is the concept of the dry land and the satiated land, like we said before, the Sefer Zohar, from Zohar. And from this you draw down the source of the concept of the land, the Hainu b'chinas eretz shekadma l'shamayim. That's the land that becomes before the heavens. And therefore, through this, you draw down to have that on the 7th day you'll have a gathering. That you should have on below, in the order of creation, that the sea changes to dry land. And that is from the wind from the east, or from the Kadim, from the beginning, that is to say, from Kadmono Shalom, from the beginning of the world, for the first one of the world, meaning Hashem, which is this concept of Hashem is alone, the concept of Atik, that you're revealing the first thought, you're revealing the Abasha, which is the true intention in creation, on the ultimate culmination, on the culmination of the concept of the Matzah, which happens on the, so to speak, Atzeres of Pesach, which here is the concept of Shishal Pesach. And even greater than this, it says about the land in the time to come, that it says in the Navi that on that day living waters will come out of Yerushalayim, and half of them will go to the eastern sea. That the concept of the land will be giving a concept of a flow even to the eastern sea, even to that level, that they'll have a mila in the Yavasha over even the Yam. And for that same reason, that here we're having a revelation of the concept of Yachid. So that's why it's going from Yerushalayim to the Yam HaKadmoni even. Giving even to the Yam HaKadmoni. Find Mashakas, Mizel, Al-Bia Azor, Achil Gimel, Kufayin Aleph. Find Mashakas, Val Pasuk Vayim, Mispar B'nai Yisrael. Viniatam de Lechemoni. Now, the reason for the bread of poverty, Nikra, Bizohar Yabasha, which is called in the Zohar the dry land, but it's a concept of something that grows from the land. How do you say that this plant, this wheat that became this matzah, is like the land? Which is actually inanimate and like the land itself. We can say, now this, that the land has the ability to grow, produce, something from nothing. That's because in its source, the inanimate and the earth is higher than the plant. That's why it can give and grow vegetation, because it's higher than it. Therefore, it's able to give it the divine flow from the ability of the earth to the plant. That we see there's this concept of nullification that's greater in the inanimate and the earth more than the plant. That my heart did not lift up, that I made myself equal and was silent and so forth. That he used the word domamti, which is like the word domem, the silence of the stone like silence. That he had this nullification like an inanimate object, that does not have any movement or lift itself up at all, which is not the case with something with plant life. Because David is the concept of the Malchus, which is called the land. Parshas Vayigash, which like it's brought in Parshas Vayigash. Now the matzah, even though it's from wheat, which is a plant, nonetheless, it's kneading and it's setting up to be baked is without any lifting up or puffing like chametz is. So it's a concept of the bread that corresponds with this inanimate. And that's like the concept of my heart did not lift up like David, Mamar, which is that David is called the land, and it's called that I equalized myself and was silent like a stone. Like the nullification of the inanimate, that the source of that kind of nullification is very high, higher than the nullification in the state of a plant. In this, we can understand, we can scrutinize the language of the Gemara. That it says about Koresh, that he commanded to mix the plant into the Beis Hamikdash, that became Chametz. Because the reason that the Beis Hamikdash has to be built completely, so the fact that he asked there to be wood in the Beis Hamikdash, so that was a mistake. It was hichmitz. That's like chametz. That uses the language the shehichmitz, because the reason that the Beis Hamikdash has to be cool all made out completely out of stone, because that's the concept of the inanimate that has very high source, which has this extra nullification. And therefore, when Kodesh commanded to mix wood, which doesn't have such a tremendous state of nullification, so that's a criticism to him that's called the Chametz, or it's actually like the concept of lifting oneself up and puffing oneself up like Chametz. That's the comparison of Tzomeach in comparison to Domim. Which is not the case with Matzah. That's like the Abasha. Now, when it explains that on the seventh day we have an Atzeres, it's like the Atzeres of Shmini Atzeres in Barbo Beis Pirushim, that there's two explanations to that word. The first is like the Aramaic translation, that you should have a gathering, that it should be gathered and come in together, this encompassing idea that floats above, so to speak, b'bechinas Ein Sof in an infinite way, Ein Sof v'kates lios mugbal b'soch nefashos Yisrael, that this infinity without end should become confined and gathered in the souls of Israel, lios b'bechinas pnimius adkan l'shono, to be in an inner way, end quote. So too we can say here, then in the idea that we're going to have an Atzeres for Hashem on the Shvi Shel Pesach, Shem Bechinas Zun Datzilos, which is the concept of Zon Nukva Vatzilos, or Bechinas Yam V'Eretz Kanal, or the concept of the sea and the land. Like we said before, you have the masculine and the feminine coming together, or the nullification of the land and being revealed in the sea. Shu derech klal b'chinas memalek olalmin, which in general is the concept of the divinity as it fulfills creation. V'ini al yedei sheishis yomim tochel matzos, now through the 6 days of eating matzah. Mamshich im ha'or me'b'chinas memalek olalmin kanal, we draw down the light from the divinity that fills creation. However, on the 7th of Pesach, we go higher than just that, the Mamarei. We draw down from just tremendous light, from Kadmono Shel Olam, from the beginning of the world, of the one who's the beginning of the world, calls Yisasef Yumshach Bebechinas Anashamos, and all of this, the Mamarei and the Soviv, from the Ha'ara from Kadmon Shel Olam, will come into Yumshach Bebechinas Hashemos Havaya Velokim, will come into the names of Havaya and Elokim, Hatzeres Lavaya Elokim, Shu Bechinas Memalek Olamin, and Soviv Kolamin, which is the concept of Mamarei or Mamarei and Soviv. Azai bechinas Havaya Nase Elokecha, and then the concept of Hashem will become your Hashem. Bechinas Iskal Yamamash, in a revealed state, meaning you're revealing the hidden into the revealed state. So, meaning to say that the hidden level becomes into the neshamos. It's a knishin, a gathering of the level beyond into a revealed state. The yam becomes a yabasha. And the second explanation of that you should have an atzeres inyan ikuv, and that's the concept of holding on for a moment. Hu kleitas neshamas bebechinas malchus d'atzilus, and that is a gathering of the neshamas in the concept of malchus of atzilus. Shmis akvim sham chulu, that they are holding, they wait there in malchus of atzilus. V'kach yesh lomar gam kin kan. So too we can say here, Ba'atzeres le'avai Elokecha, in that Tzeres for Hashem, Shenichla lim Hashem os misachtim b'mekoran ba'al Hashem ba'al haratzon chulu, that the names are ikuv ukleitas and neshamas. It's the neshamas when they get caught into malchus of atzilus, a klita, a chapping. The malchus grasps and gets the neshama to hold, and it holds it there. So too you have these two names, Avai Elokecha, become united in their source. The one who rules the name and the one who rules the Baal Haratzon, the one who rules the will. So it's a concept of Zun Atzilus going upwards and being elevated. So again, you have this idea of Kriyas Yamsuf either going upwards, or like the Alpi Zohar, or going downwards, Alpi the Arizal. So it's either Atzeres, meaning that you're drawing down from the hidden to a revealed state, or that it's nichlal above, and in a concept of klita and akava.